I heard a story once of a young woman, college-age. She had been to a few light social gatherings at her college and met a man, only a few years older than her. She started spending more and more time with this man, and it was clear that they were beginning to develop a love for one another that could hopefully someday lead to marriage. She adored this man as one does in the early onset of a relationship. They became so close that she understandably confided everything in him, her hopes and her joys, her stresses throughout her college classes. And when he replied and shared with her in return, she hung on every word. She was beginning to know him fairly well, and although the friendship was new and there was still so much to learn, she was quickly realizing that she loved him. One day at the beginning of a new quarter at college, she was presented with a very large homework assignment. The students were to read a specific book throughout the term and then do a report on it. It seemed straightforward enough, but when the young woman got back to her dorm and took the book out and began thumbing through it, she soon decided it was the most boring piece of literature she had ever had the displeasure of laying her eyes on. She spent the whole evening stressing over whether she should drop this class, maybe take it another term with another teacher to hopefully be given a different assignment. There were all sorts of possibilities. Finally, she met with her new closest friend, the young man she was spending so much time with nowadays. She poured out her distress on him about how she didn't think if she kept on with that class she'd be able to pull a passing grade if she was going to have to abuse herself with reading such a boring book. Finally, she pulled the book from her knapsack and handed it to him, who looked it over and quietly said, "Why, this is my book. I wrote this." The shock and horror she was overcome with in that moment. Can you imagine? Here was this man she loved, and she just told him directly to his face that something he probably spent months of energy on was so dreadfully boring that she might have to quit the class she was taking and delay her degree just to get away from it. How embarrassed she must have felt for not giving the book a proper try. She quickly apologized and gave a weak excuse about how she must not have looked at it close enough, grabbed the book from him, and ran back to her dorm. After a bit of understandable tears and prayer, she pulled the book back out and sat down with it, with new eyes. Suddenly she saw the value in each word. Suddenly she saw the sweat and effort behind each paragraph. Suddenly she saw the intentional images and masterful connections woven between each chapter. With a new frame of mind, she absorbed every crumb of that book until she looked up and realized it was the wee hours of the morning. The book had been finished, and it was one of the most beautiful things she'd ever read. Now, what was the difference between the morning she received the book and that evening when she began to read? Did the book change? Certainly not. But instead, her love for the author changed. She realized she loved the author, and only then could she really appreciate the words held within. So you see, the Bible is just like this. We can throw Bible verses at people until we are blue in the face, but unless they love the author, unless they respect him and believe he is who he says he is, and that the words held within are truth, unless they see that this is more than just a jumble of hyperbole and lies, that history itself corroborates its pages, and that the promises held within are very specific and yet open to all who would just look, unless that can happen, then they will not love the Bible. We must help people believe and know and love Jesus, because that is where the love of the book comes from, and we know the book is where we find our lives. For once we were lost, but now we are found. Just like that young woman, once we were blind, but now we see. Let us help others to see. But first we must put in the time and the study so that we have the knowledge available for such a feat. So we will do a bit of that together. Do we really know who this Jesus man is? How can we explain him to others and prove his validity?